The fastest way to get rich, is it dropshipping or maybe crypto? What about day trading? That's exactly the problem most young people face today. Everyone is telling you something different, and because of that, you end up stuck with too many options. You start overthinking, and then you don't choose anything at all. And when you don't choose, life chooses for you. This is where most people fall into the first stage, drifting. Drifting means moving through life without control. You go from one job to another, try different side hustles, and hope that one day something will work out. But there's no clear direction, no real plan. There's a well-known quote, "If you're not building your own dream, someone else will hire you to build theirs." And that's exactly what happens here. Nobody wakes up thinking about how to make you rich. Everyone is focused on their own goals. The only person who will ever truly prioritize your success is you. So be honest with yourself. Are you drifting? A lot of people say they want to become rich, but when you look at their actions, they don't match that goal at all. They stay comfortable, they avoid risk, and then they justify it with lines like, "Money doesn't buy happiness." But think about it. This idea has been repeated for years. Why? Because it keeps people okay with having less. The truth is simple. Money gives you freedom, and freedom leads to a better life. So there's nothing wrong with wanting to be wealthy. But someone who is drifting will never build real wealth. They might get lucky, they might stumble into something, but they won't be able to create it consistently on their own. That's the difference. If you stay in this stage, your life will always depend on chance instead of control. So the real question is not what opportunity is best. The real question is, are you ready to stop drifting? Because until you make that decision, nothing changes. And once you do, everything starts to shift.
You can completely change your life with just one decision. The decision that you're no longer going to let life push you around, and instead, you're going to take full control with one clear goal, getting rich. This is where you move from drifting into the second stage, obsession. Now, the results of this decision won't show up immediately. Nothing magically changes overnight, but internally, everything shifts. Your focus becomes sharper, your priorities become clearer, and your actions start aligning with your goal. Some people feel uncomfortable with the idea of being obsessed with money, but that discomfort usually comes from how they've been conditioned to think about wealth. They've been taught that wanting money is greedy or wrong. That's not true. Wanting money means wanting freedom. It means wanting control over your time, your choices, and your life. And the reality is, without obsession, you won't get there. A lot of young people say they want to become rich, but if you look closely, they're not obsessed. They're distracted. They say they want wealth, but at the same time, they're trying to do everything else. Learn new hobbies, chase multiple goals, explore different paths, all at once. Now imagine someone saying they want to become a professional athlete, while also trying to master music, learn 3 languages, and run a business on the side. It sounds unrealistic, because it is. Becoming successful in any one field is already difficult, and building real wealth is even harder. Only a small percentage of people ever achieve it. So why assume you can do it while splitting your focus in 10 different directions? From my own experience, the only reason I was able to build wealth in my early years was because I locked in. I stopped chasing everything else. I focused on one thing, making money and building something that grows. That level of focus is what separates people who want success from people who actually achieve it. But here's the key point. Being obsessed is necessary, but it's not enough. You can have all the motivation in the world, but if you don't know how to make money, you'll stay stuck. That's why the next stage matters. Because once you're fully committed, you need to figure out the exact path that will actually get you there.
The truth is simple. You earn money based on the value you provide. And if you're not rich yet, it just means one thing. You need to increase your value. This is where most people get stuck. They believe they need a completely new idea, something unique, something no one has ever done before. They think becoming rich means being the first to discover a big opportunity. But that's not true. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. All you need to do is find something that is already working right now and learn how to do it. That's why this stage is called discovery. The fastest way to build a high-income skill is to find someone who is already ahead of you and understand their process. There are many proven paths: video editing, drop shipping, negotiating deals, creating short-form content, running an online store. These things are already making people money. Your job is not to guess. Your job is to observe and learn. When I was in my 20s and thinking about starting my first business, I didn't jump in blindly. Instead, I got a job in a similar type of store. Yes, I earned money from it,
But more importantly, I learned how the business actually worked. I paid attention to everything: how customers behaved, how sales were made, how problems were handled. I asked questions, I took notes, I studied the system. And most importantly, I focused on the problems. Because problems show you where the opportunity is. You might not want to start the exact same business, and that's fine. But the principle stays the same. Find someone who has already achieved what you want and learn exactly how they did it. This gives you a shortcut. You get a clear roadmap, you avoid beginner mistakes, and you move faster than they did. The person you learn from don't have to be famous. In fact, it's better if they're not, because then their income is coming from real skill, not just popularity. You can find these people in online communities, social platforms, or even in your local area. But here's the hard part: getting access to them. Convincing someone successful to share their knowledge is not easy. And this is where many people give up. They stay
without ever moving forward. But if you can break through this stage, if you can find the right person and learn the right skill, you're no longer guessing. Now you're following a proven path, and that's what sets you up for the next stage: taking action and actually starting to make money.
Once you've discovered the path, the next step is simple, but not easy. You need to close the gap between where you are and where you want to be. This stage is called acceleration. Now it's no longer about learning endlessly or searching for new ideas. Now it's about execution. You take what you've learned and you start using it. At this stage, action matters more than perfection. You don't wait until you feel ready. You don't wait until everything is perfect. You just start. If you're offering a service, work for free in the beginning. Gain experience, build proof. If you're selling something, launch it, even if it's not perfect. Because the truth is, your first results won't be great. And that's normal. Before you become good at something, you have to be willing to be bad at it. This is where most people hesitate. They overthink, they delay. They want everything to be perfect before they begin. But that mindset keeps you stuck. Progress comes from doing, not thinking. But just working hard isn't enough. If you want to improve fast, you need feedback. And not just any feedback, the right kind. A lot of people rely on opinions from friends and family, but that's a mistake. They don't want to hurt your feelings, and most of the time, they don't have the experience to guide you properly. So you end up repeating the same mistakes again and again. There's a simple truth. If you keep doing the same things, you'll keep getting the same results. That's why improvement is not just about effort, it's about correction. You need honest feedback from people who understand the game, people who are ahead of you. This stage can feel uncomfortable. You might feel disconnected from your old circle. Your friends may not understand your focus anymore. At the same time, you're not yet successful enough to fully fit in with people who are ahead of you. You're in the middle. And this is where most people quit. They go back to what's comfortable. They return to an average life. And honestly, it's understandable. Because staying consistent when you feel alone is hard. But this phase is where real growth happens. If you push through this stage, everything starts to compound. Your skills improve, your confidence grows, your income starts increasing. The best thing you can do here is change your environment. Surround yourself with people who are also focused on growth, people who are working towards something bigger. Because the right environment doesn't just support you, it pushes you forward. And if you stay consistent long enough, you move into the final stage, where your effort finally starts turning into freedom. This is the stage everyone wants to reach: freedom. At this point, your hard work starts paying off. You're earning well, you have control over your time, and you're no longer dependent on anyone else for your income. You've built something that works, but here's where most people make a critical mistake. They confuse being rich with being wealthy. When you start making good money, you're faced with two choices. You can spend it all on lifestyle, cars, clothes, status, or you can reinvest a portion of it and build long-term wealth. The decision you make here determines your future, because real wealth is not about how much you earn. It's about how much you keep and how well you grow it. At this stage, you already have financial freedom. But if your goal becomes impressing others, you'll lose the opportunity to build something bigger. People who truly understand money are not impressed by unnecessary spending. They see it as wasted potential. So the question is, what should you do instead? You reinvest. When I was younger, I didn't rely on just one source of income. I built multiple streams. These could be investments like stocks, digital assets, or even new skills that increase your earning ability. Because the goal is not just to make money, the goal is to make money that keeps making money. Most people never reach this stage, and even those who do, many of them fail to stay here. Why? Because they spend everything they earn. They're willing to spend heavily on things that don't matter, but hesitate when it comes to investing in themselves or their future. And that's exactly why they stay stuck. Every unnecessary expense today takes something away from your future. Wealthy people understand this. They invest in growth, while others spend to impress. So even when you reach freedom, don't stop. Keep learning, keep improving, keep building. Because in the end, the most valuable asset you will ever have is yourself.